Italy. Can you believe this weather? It's grey, it's wet, it's really cold. Although, I guess it does get cold around the month of December. Wait a second. It's December! You know what that means? It's disguise time.
What?
Christmas!
The filming Daniel.
Hey guys, it's Daniel here, and it's that one and only time of the season again, Christmas! Hallelujah! Hallelujah! Wait a second, that's not a Christmas theme. Oh well, it don't matter. This is the Christmas theme. You see these backgrounds? All the Christmas DVDs and decorations, and even that little star I put on top of the tree. I mean the TV, yeah. I totally said TV, not tree. But I also got myself a little music box. Well, actually, it's not even my music box. It's someone else's music box that lives in this house. But I thought I'd definitely use it for a prop, because this thing is definitely so wound up, yet charming at the same time. Oh, that melts my heart every time, yeah. Good music box. Now basically, what am I going to be... Okay, you can stop now. I said... Stop it! Hey! Stop it! Naughty box. Thank you. Anyway, now that I've gotten that out of the way, sorry Snoopy, what Christmas movies am I going to be reviewing this year? Well, hopefully I'll be able to get through all of them. But to start with, I'm going to be starting off the Christmas season of the Filming Daniel with reviewing a new Christmas movie that's just come out on Netflix, and that is the British comedy animated movie, That Christmas. So in this film, based on the books by Richard Curtis, this film tackles the stories of different kids in a little town in England as they get ready for the festive season. But they're dealing with their own personal dilemmas with friends, siblings, mainly the parents as well. And these kids are just trying to have the best time that they can. So, with the help of each other, and with a little bit of help from Santa Claus, who enters the movie delivering the presents, they tried to figure out how to make this the best Christmas possible, and how to find the true meaning of Christmas, and how that can help them with their dilemmas with their families. Now, I was really interested to see this movie. I love British animation, and also British animation and Christmas combined equals lovely atmosphere, because, as many of you know, After Christmas is one of my favourite Christmas movies, and I think that that is a good British comedy movie for animation and for Christmas. So, I was expecting a good chunk of it in this movie as well, and what's really, really interesting is that this movie is based on some books by Richard Curtis. And not only did Richard Curtis come back to write the screenplay for this movie, but he was also the maker of the really well-known Christmas movie, Love Actually. And that movie also tackles different stories focusing on different characters that are somehow connected in some way, much like this one. So I was really excited to see the movie, and then I heard mixed opinions about it, and my worriness for the movie started to go down because I thought this was going to be one of the best animated Christmas movies ever made. So, I watched it 3 times. Yes, I watched it 3 times in preparation for this video. I watched it the first time, and my first viewing of the movie was... it was okay. Yeah, when I watched the movie for the first time, I didn't really have strong opinions of it. But I decided, okay, I'll watch it 2 more times just to see how it is. And now I'm here to talk about my actual thoughts of the movie. And what do I think about the movie on 3 viewings? I really enjoyed this film. I mean, granted, it's not really the best Christmas movie ever made, nor is it as good as some other animated Christmas movies like After Christmas or Klaus. But I definitely think that this movie has a very similar charm and appeal with the whole British comedy moments and the feel of Christmas. The first thing I loved about this film was its animation. It is spectacular, okay? Every character has like a human-like design to them that makes them come off as alive. Their facial mannerisms feel so genuine, and you do buy that they would either be upset or happy at the same time. And it kind of has that same adorable charm that Arthur Christmas is, where you just want to like give some of these characters a hug because they're that sweetly animated. And what I really like about the animation, and it kind of connects to another thing that I liked about the film, is that it really does a good job supporting the voice acting. Because what I love about both the voice acting and the animation is that combined, they do feel like conversations and movements of real life conversations or real life circumstances for people. You know, besides the slapstick moments, which we'll get to later. But I think that this movie kind of has like a relatable charm to the dialogue and the body movements of the characters. And I think that that's what really makes animation shine through. And like I said, the voice acting is fantastic. Like Jodie Whittaker from Doctor Who, Fiona Shaw from Enola Holmes, Brian Cox from X-Men 2, and Bill Nighy from, well, anything he's in, did a fantastic job as Danny's mum, Mrs. Trapper, Santa Claus, and the Lighthouse Man. I really like the charismatic performances of all of these actors. Like, Brian Cox's voice as Santa is delightful to listen to. He makes him come off as wholesome, charming, and lovable. And Bill Nighy, he always steals the scenes in anything that he's in animation or in live action. He adds so much charisma to his role as the Lighthouse Man. Though I do wish we could have seen more of him, because with the amount of screen time that he's in, I kind of felt like Bill Nighy got his lines recorded in under a day or 2, but I still thought he was fantastic. And Fiona Shaw as Miss Trapper, I also really liked, because she did a good job making her come off as strict, but also as like subtly sympathetic and lovely later on in the film. And I love the realistic conversations of Danny's mum, voiced by Jodie Whittaker, as she makes the character sound so alive and so relatable that you do feel sympathetic towards her when she has to go through certain things. And that's another thing I really like about the film. You do have some sympathy for a lot of these characters, because they go through realistic dilemmas of being overworked, especially around Christmas, or dealing with sibling rivalries, or like nervous like social life outside of everything, like outside of school, outside of work, the nervousness in being social with everybody. Because we have a bunch of the characters, in which, let's talk about the characters next. It's mainly the kids who are really the ones that we follow the most, and the ones that we sympathise with the most. Especially the main character of Danny, who is quite relatable. I love his like stuttery and awkward nature whenever he's around other people or around his crush Sam, because he has a crush on Sam, and watching him and getting all awkward and nervous around his crush is quite adorable, and it can relate to a lot of people who are at a young age that have their first like crush, and you can feel the nervousness, and I absolutely love that. At the same time though, you do feel the sympathy towards the situation that's happening with his parents, because his parents are pretty much divorced or broken up. So now he's living with his mum, and his mum is doing the best to support Danny, and Danny wonders, is his Christmas going to be the same without his dad around? And I think that that can relate to a lot of kids who have to deal with the reality of divorced parents. And he later learns about the struggles that his family is going through and finds his own ways to help them, as well as help other people, including his very own crush. And I think his confidence throughout the movie really helps him grow well as a character. And I also think that his mum is a very sympathetic character, and I did feel sorry for her, and I just love the upbeat nature she has towards her son and trying to support him in the best way she knows how. And I think that she's a really good role model for mothers. Sam I also really liked. I liked her kind of nervousness. She also has a bit of nervousness, but I also feel for her storyline with her family, because she's afraid of her sister being too naughty all the time, and she does have the right to be worried, because if Santa did exist, which he did in this universe, she wants the best for her sister. Even though she knows that her sister causes trouble or messes things up, you can tell that Sam really does love her sister deep down and wants the best for her. And the same thing can be said for her sister Charlie, because Charlie is definitely a bit of a mischievous chatterbox, and I will say some of her tricks were pretty hilarious and quite clever. She's really inventive with it. I really like the naughtiness and hilariousness with Charlie's character, but they do give us some remorseful moments now and again, because even though she goofs around and causes trouble, like Sam caring for her, you can tell that Charlie loves her sister deep down and would do anything for her. And I think that their sisterly bond was beautiful to watch. Sure, I will admit that Charlie can get a little bit too carried away and a bit too chatty now and again, but I still really like the bond that they shared. And then we have the storyline with Bernie and her family. I really like Bernie's optimism with her creativity, because she has a very imaginative mind, and really likes to show the positiveness and upbeatness whenever she puts her ideas into practice. Sure, not all of our ideas work, and some of them can cause trouble now and again, but she does learn that later on, and sometimes has to hold back her ideas, or else they could lead to trouble, especially what happens with the second half of the movie. And I love the sisterly relationship she shares with her little sister Evie. I think it's so adorable, and they connect as siblings on a very cute level. And even though I will admit that there wasn't really any storyline with this character, I still love the character of Lighthouse Bill. I do believe that's his name, the character that Bill Nighy plays. Even though he doesn't do too much, I still liked his charisma and his love for Christmas, and we do get to learn a bit more about him with his own struggles, and it's something that a lot of the elderly can relate to, and honestly makes us feel sorry for him, because we want him to have some good company, and also with what he's going through with his own family, it's quite sad. And Bill Nighy did a fantastic job. I could definitely hear a lot of his Grad Santa mannerisms coming out of this guy. And we also have this film's version of Santa. I think this film's version of Santa is wonderful as well. Sure, he is kind of like the same, jolly old Saint Nick, but I really love that the decision that he makes, while similar to any other job that Santa would do, comes from a place of compassion and need to help these kids with their problems. Sure, he doesn't do too much, which is kind of a problem. I wish he did more, but what he does do and the presents that he gives out to the kids really are ways for the kids to figure out their own dilemmas and figure out their own solutions on their own. And I think that Santa did a good job putting that into practice, and I think he's just lovely, and honestly, the way he delivers the presents, the way he grabs him from the bag, and honestly, it's something I can really imagine Santa doing, and honestly, it just kind of make me wish I could meet Santa. He's all jolly and lovely. and I really love the Christmassy atmosphere. Even though this isn't one of the best Christmas movies ever made, it's still a good Christmas movie because it really gets you into the jolly festive season. The various decorations, the lights, the animation on like the food and the snow, and like just everything that needed for a Christmas movie is pretty much wrapped up in a neat bow and given out to the audience through this movie's screenplay. And Richard Curtis, I think, did a good job bringing his books to life in this movie. And remember when I said that this movie is kind of like similar to Love Actually? Well, there is a scene where they do kind of make a joke about it, and I won't give away what it is, but I know I can understand a lot of people finding this scene to be like disrespectful to Love Actually, and honestly, I do kind of see the disrespectfulness, but I also did crack up at that joke. And the last thing that I love about this movie was the score and the music. The score by John Powell is very enchanting and very wholesome for this kind of movie. Whenever it's cutting to the festive scenes, the comedy scenes, or the very like dramatic like worrying scenes, especially towards like the last third of the movie, then there's a little situation with all the kids gathering together to find somebody. I think that the music definitely presents the urgency of that scene very well. And the music, while I can see people's complaints with saying that the pop songs used are very unnecessary, I do agree, but also there is a song by Ed Sheeran called Under the Tree, and yeah, it does feel a bit out of place, but I love that song, and I really think that song like makes me feel the dramatic weight of Christmas and just taps into the child within me, and I love that song. But unfortunately, guys, those are the positives that I have to say about the film, and it's mostly positive. However, guys, there are many problems with this movie that prevent it from being something outstanding, something grander, something better. The first major problem I do have with this movie is that while I really like that the conversations between the characters seem pretty realistic for the most part, the characters are constantly talking. All of these characters seem to have a bad case of verbal diarrhea, whether they're talking to themselves, or speaking out loud, or making some like quippy remarks now and again, or when there's lots of arguing and complaining from all the characters. There's so many scenes where the characters never shut up that I really just find a lot of aggravation between some of the conversations. It's like the movie is kind of afraid of boring the younger audience watching the movie if there's a moment of silence. So they just have the characters talk and talk now and again just to keep the audiences engaged. I wouldn't feel as annoyed by it if there was a lot of funny moments between the conversations between the characters, but a lot of the times it's not really that funny. It's just constant like whining and whinging, especially the adults who should know better. Mainly in the subplot dealing with Bernie's mum and dad and the many adults who are stuck in this like van out in the snowstorm. There is a few little moments now and again where I do find it kind of funny, but most of the time I think that was probably the weakest storyline in the entire film, because it deals with the adults in the back whinging about not getting rescued or being trapped out in the snowstorm. I understand their frustrations, but there's only so much time you can have a character complaining or making like random lines, like the old man character says, "Well, God hates me," and oh, you got my foot? Oh, okay. And then there's like weird like lines that come out of nowhere, and again, mostly whinging from like one of the mother characters and the old man. And there's only so many times you can have them complain before it gets old, and in this movie I thought it got really old, and I felt like if they would have cut out that storyline and instead have them be trapped in the lighthouse with Lighthouse Bill, and then they get to know him a bit more, I think that would have been a great storyline to go along with these parents, instead of just being out and casted out in the snow and having them whinging all the time. It does kind of get aggravating. And another thing that really derails the movie for me when the characters keep talking and talking is that whenever the movie wants to get across a message in their storylines, they do it in a very patronising and preachy way. Like they have to keep spelling out to the audience the character problems and lessons that they learn. Like we're not that smart enough to know that Danny's mum is working really hard, or that Charlie is a very naughty girl. Do you really think this little of your audience movie? The movie is good, I just felt like that they could have showed the messages and character flaws in a subtle way, rather than in an obnoxious or patronising way. But, again, it's just a problem. It's just a little problem, but I didn't really like it. It felt like that there were like 5 writers for this movie that were doing a good job writing it, and then there was that one jerk who, behind the other writer's back, just went onto the keyboard and just kept typing and typing and typing and typing, without the other writers having any proofreading afterwards. And I think what really makes the movie feel like it's tightening up its like different conversations with characters keep on talking and talking and talking like that in a quick neck speed. The film is very rushed. I felt like the film was a bit too short, because this is only a 90-minute long film, and there are so many moments where scenes are going by way too fast, or characters are like spelling out their lessons and out of nowhere character development like at a breakneck speed. And I felt like the movie could have benefited of having like the film being like 10 to 15 minutes longer to really get us focusing and keeping like a good enough flow of the narrative. Instead, it's just like going quick. Like they were running out of the budget, so they had to shoot the film really fast. And I felt like that with a movie adaptation of books, you have the opportunity to expand a bit more and also be as developed as possible. And it does also allow some characters to feel like, okay, are they in the movie for the purpose of it, or are they not? Because Santa Claus, while I do really like him, kind of feels a bit pointless in a little bit, because I felt like there could have been more scenes focusing on Santa doing his job. And honestly, if you just want to have Santa deliver the presents and then let the kids figure out their problems for themselves, why did you need to show Santa delivering the presents? You could have just had the set presents be out in the open, and then we can have a little bit of a mystery of if Santa left them there or the parents left them there. It's just up to the imagination. You know, I still liked Santa, but I felt like they could have benefited from having him do more in the film. There's also a lot of slapstick in this film, and I felt like that the movie didn't really need too much of it. I think that the subtle, like, little comedy movements were well enough, but there's so many times we can have a character fall over or break their head before it becomes redundant. However, guys, while I do have a couple problems with this movie, I still liked That Christmas. I think it had the same charmingness of any other wholesome Christmas movie. The animation is well done, the voice acting is solid, and I really love, and I have to mention this real quick because I think I didn't touch on it too much before in the review. I love the storyline with Miss Trapper, like the strict, stern teacher at the school. At first you think she's just going to be like a stern teacher who only has the authority to make people do their work, but we learn later on why she's doing this and how she feels this way, because she has her own like personal dilemmas that she's going through as well. So she also like has a character arc of communicating with these kids, as well as the kids learning about why Miss Trapper is the way that she is. And I love the bond that she shares with Danny, from them making a snowman to them making something for Danny's mother. I think that those scenes are very charming, and Fiona Shaw did a fantastic job voicing her. But anyway, I really like the movie. I do have a few problems, but I'm still glad I saw it, and I would watch it again. So I'm going to give That Christmas 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's definitely a worth a watch movie, and if you like to go see it, I definitely recommend it. You might think it's either pretty good, okay, or not that great. I don't really promise that it'll be like the best thing ever, but it's your opinion, so if you want to see it, then go ahead. But anyway guys, what do you think of That Christmas? Do you like it? Do you hate it? And what's your favourite British Christmas animated film? My favourite Christmas British animated film is, of course, good old Arthur Christmas. I love this one. But anyway, let me know in the comment section below. So, what am I going to be reviewing in the next Christmas review for this month? Well, remember when I said that this movie has similarities to Love Actually? Well, why don't I just jump the gun and just review Love Actually? So Love Actually is the next Christmas review, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, I'm Daniel, reviewing movies, TV shows, doing videos, getting the Christmas season finally started for 2024. Till then, peace out, man.